Weekly Sauce, episode 71. Last week, we didn't have a guest. We were supposed to have Antonio Simmons, recently traded from Montreal Alouettes, going to the Untitled Elks. We'll have him on next week, but we're happy to have our guest on today. It's been a couple weeks in the making. We should have had him on the week before. Some miscommunication. He's got knee surgery now, so he's new, fresh, ready to go, ready to take the punches from me and Alex. But before we get to Brady, this episode is brought to you by Mavesta Media, one of the best in the business for your marketing, all your marketing needs, SEO, all that shit. Alex, you sell it better than me because it's your stuff.
Yeah, web design, SEO, content creation, anything you need for your small business in terms of marketing. Mavesta Media has it for you. Use promo code Weekly Sauce and you get a free consultation and a social media audit. There
you go. Mavesta Media everywhere online and on social media as well. So now we can finally get into the good shit. It's BRady Hiestand from UFC. Fought in the Ultimate Fighter this year. It was one of the better seasons that I've seen in a while. Brady, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good, man. We're good. Happy to have you on. A couple Montreal boys that are just fight fans, and we're happy to have you on, man. So what's it been like? You're fresh out of knee surgery. How's the mobility? You're able to go now, or what's going on?
Yeah. So I just got out. I think I'm on day 9. So the first days were a little rough, but I'm starting to get mobility back. It's still a little bit swollen. I'm on crutches, and because I got my meniscus and my ACL, so I'm not going to be weight bearing. So I'm going to be on crutches probably for another couple weeks. But yeah,
it's my biggest fear to tear my ACL. It's like every time I feel my knees just still moving a little bit, I'm like, well, relax, just take it easy with it, But it's my biggest fear. I fear that. I wish that on nobody. That and an Achilles. Oh man.
Oh, Achilles, that one scares me. Luckily, the ACL, honestly, it hurt, but it didn't hurt that bad. I think the meniscus part of the whole knee is the part that hurts the most because it would keep catching and slipping. I would have instability in my ACL, but I figured out a way to how to fight with it or how to train with it so it wouldn't slip. Obviously, it slipped a few times and kind of restricted me, but dude, the meniscus was painful. That was the shitty part.
My meniscus is I don't know if it could be partially torn or whatever, but sometimes my knee locks in place. If I have an awkward, let's say I have an omoplata or something like that, I can't get my knee out because my knee will lock in place. It's really weird. I'll have to scoot out a bit and then kind of make my move to get the knee back into straight position. But even sometimes just stretching at home, it locks. It's crazy, man. And it's I don't want surgery because I'm not a professional athlete. So for me, I'm I don't want to be off my leg for so long. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, and the meniscus is I'm not sure if it's the longest recovery, but initially it's the hardest one because they don't want you to put any weight on it. Yeah. If I was just having my ACL done, I could start walking 3 days after surgery. But because it's meniscus, they don't they repaired my meniscus, so they don't want me to put any weight that could mess up the stitches or whatever.
Did you hear a pop? When it tore?
Yeah, because it was I've said it a few times, but it was the first week when I was on the show. I was grappling with one of our, one of the coaches. His name's Colby Thickness. And that's his real name, Colby Thickness. Yeah.
That should be my name.
Yeah. But it's funny because he was my age. He's 21 years old. He's a professional fighter. He was actually 135. He just didn't have enough fights to get on the show, but he was one of Volk's boys. And so we were grappling because we're both good jiu-jitsu guys and we were having a good roll. And he just went deep half and just rolled. And for some reason, my foot got caught in the mat. And when he rolled, my knee didn't move, but my body did. And then it just popped.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are functional on a torn ACL, which is crazy to me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't be a football player because there's too many cuts, your knees going in opposite directions. Where in fighting, I guess it's more straightforward sometimes. It's different. I would never be able to even think about what it's like to fight with a torn ACL, and I don't want to. Alex?
So I know you and Mitch Raposo were the youngest on The Ultimate Fighter. I wanted to know, how did you get into martial arts, and how long have you been practicing?
Yeah. So I've been training probably pretty diligently and heavy since I was 14. I dabbled in it earlier. When I was young, I did karate a little bit, and then I did a little bit of boxing. I did wrestling my freshman year, but it wasn't until after my first year wrestling, I started doing jiu-jitsu. And then that's when I kind of just hopped in with everything and started training multiple times a day, got super committed and kind of fell in love with it. Because I ended up having my first MMA fight when I was 16. So,
Oh wow.
That's nuts. Where are you from? You're from Washington?
yeah, Spokane, Washington.
And you're allowed fighting pro before you're an adult over there?
Yeah, I mean, if your mom signs off on it, these Indian reservations don't really care.
Well, that's a good point. It's the same thing here. The Indian reservations, they're a little loosey-goosey on the rules. But who was your fight against, and what was that? What kind of conversations did you have with your mom? Be like, Mom, I want to go get my head chopped in.
Yeah, I'm honestly like looking back, I'm surprised my mom said yes. But yeah, I don't know. I had been training a lot, and I was really into it, and I was training all the time, and I was spending all my time at the gym, and I was loving it. And I think my mom saw that, and she saw how much I was enjoying it and how good I was getting at it. So she was like, when I asked her to fight, I had gotten a few fights in like school and stuff, and that all like stopped happening. So she's like, I mean, he's not fighting in the streets anymore. Might as well let him fight in the cage. I guess there's gonna be a ref.
And then you're on the Ultimate Fighter with a bunch of monsters, and at 5, you're 5-2, right? From what I saw, yeah, 5-2.
Now it's 6-2 because I mean, on the UFC's page, they counted my Vince Murdoch, the finish as to my record. So on the ESPN page, it says I'm 6-2. But
so like on pathology and stuff like that, you'll be a regular 5-2, but on the UFC, you're 6-2, which makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a fight. I don't know why they don't consider it a fight. It's a fight.
For sure. Fight, yeah. I know. Yeah, for real.
And that was a good fight too, Alex. Go.
So you, we had Andre Petrosky on, and we asked him about his experience at the Ultimate Fighter. He told us that he didn't like the quality of the uniforms, the clothes they give you,
the gear.
Yeah, the gear. And what did you like about the Ultimate Fighter? What didn't you like?
Yeah, I guess the quality wasn't that great. I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be kind of funny, but I think the Ortega stuff is a little bit less good quality because because at the end of the season, I got a little bit of Ortega stuff. I traded, my roommate Josh. We traded a few clothes,
That's cool.
And as I've washed them, the Ortega stuff is falling apart. Like the print on it is falling apart and everything. But I guess the Volk clothes are just built different.
That's what Petrosky was saying. Petrosky was telling us that like they had lost the shipment, so they had to like just randomly print a bunch of stuff, and it was just like cheaply done. And I was like, because I've been watching the Ultimate Fighter since season 1, right? So it's like I see all the gear, I'm like, oh, it must be sick to have like a bunch of t-shirts, bunch of tank tops, bunch of stuff you can just train with, and it's just like it's like a jersey. It's like a sign of something that you did, some sort of accomplishment. And then he's telling us that the jerseys are the cheap, the numbers are the names are coming off. I'm like, it kind of ruined it for me. But now you brought it back, and you're telling me that Volk stuff was good. Maybe
Volk stuff's great.
Yeah,
I have this sweatshirt that I wear all the time. I wash it probably like 20 times, and it's holding up great. It's my favorite one so far.
So tell us about that, man. I mean, the coaching crew to me, I mean, I've been training jiu-jitsu for like 14 years. So Craig Jones to me is like, he's unbelievable. Like I said, I watch him. So what was it like learning from him and just, taking jiu-jitsu advice from that guy?
Oh, that was huge. Like I said, I've been training jiu-jitsu really heavy. I like that was my first love in martial arts was jiu-jitsu. And so like I won worlds at blue belt as a kid in youth worlds. And so I used to compete a lot before I started fighting pretty heavy. And so being able to meet like the best no-gi grappler in the world, or second best, whatever they say.
According to whoever you talked to that day.
Yeah, it was huge. It was super cool. He was like, and he's a super chill guy, honestly. Like he's just like cool to talk to, cool to hang out with. Became good buddies on the show.
Oh yeah. He seems like an ultimate guy. Like, and he brings his wife everywhere with him. She follows him everywhere. Like it's pretty crazy. Like that whole crew, like that whole Danaher Death Squad, and like where they've been and where they are now. And now I think he's fighting out of Austin. He opened a gym in Texas, and it's like this guy he's an impressive human to come off of nobody knowing who he was, get into ADCC. Who did he beat? He beat Felipe Pena, the big fight that he won, or he tapped him out. I forgot what it was, and he was just. And then from there, he just skyrocketed, man. And the jiu-jitsu world is completely different. Would you have gone into MMA knowing how big jiu-jitsu is now? Because back then, when you were doing jiu-jitsu at 16 years old, it wasn't really like it was still getting bigger, but it wasn't what it is now.
Yeah, I think so. I like jiu-jitsu, and I think honestly, like I always tell people, when I retire from MMA. I'm going to go and do jiu-jitsu, whether it's teaching, coaching, or like even competing. But I like to hit people too. You know, I like jiu-jitsu, but I like being able to pick people up, slam them, hit them, all that good stuff. And
Who was the one guy you had like some crazy sparring matches in the gym on
the show?
TUF? On TUF, yeah.
Huh. The thing is like, so that's the thing is like, because we were, I don't know if Andre went over like how it was set up, but the whole season was only over 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so like pretty much you're in like fight week the whole season. So we didn't have any like crazy hard sessions. At least we didn't. I heard Ortega's team was sparring hard, but we never had like, designated hard sessions of sparring. But I remember we did like King of the Wall one time, and it was like, I think the group was me, Gilbert, Ricky, Brian, and I think Volk, and we were just like going after each other on the wall. And I think that was probably the hardest day we did. I remember me and Gilbert went at it for a minute, and it was just like, it's like, damn, this guy's big.
I love it, man. I love it.
So I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Well, they're pretty simple ones. They're about the show. So who was the funniest out of all of the fighters?
Who was the funniest?
Yeah.
Oh. Like funniest on purpose or just like funny personality?
So who's the guy just like had everybody laughing unintentionally or intentionally?
Ricky, for sure.
Ricky, yeah.
He's far out, bro.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was kind of like a vibe. He was like, you're always ready to hear what he was going to say next, because it was always so out of this world. It was cool.
He needs to be in wrestling. He doesn't belong in MMA. Like the way how good he is on the mic is crazy. How he speaks, I don't know. I think he needs to be like a pro fighter. I'm pro wrestler. Not necessarily. I mean, he's a very good pro fighter. Don't get me wrong, but like I think his calling is pro wrestling, and he'll be like this positive guy. And he'll be the next John Cena, basically. I think that's
for sure. Yeah. He's the legend.
That would be amazing.
Next one. Who was always late?
Who was always late? Ortega.
Other than Ortega, yeah, we know that one.
Oh, who is always late? Dude, the thing is it's hard to be late on the show because you have nothing else to do.
And the bus comes, picks you up, and brings you there.
Yeah. It's not like we're driving ourselves, so. I guess out of everybody on my team, I probably was the one that was more late, just because I like slack a little bit.
Way to call him out, Alex. Good job.
If I'm being honest, I guess I'm the last one in the van usually.
I love it.
All right, next one. Who was the best cook?
Who was the best cook? Ooh, that's a good one. On my team, it was between me and Gilbert. Because, I was I made a lot of different foods, and it was kind of funny because I showed people how to cook a little bit. Like I was showing Ryder how to use, the George Foreman, and I would make, because he'd never seen one before. And I was like, Ryder, you've never seen a George Foreman? So I was showing him how to use it and make paninis. And then I would, after practice, especially when I was cutting, because I was cutting the whole time, I would make big plates of vegetables, like asparagus, mushrooms, and all that stuff, and everyone would pig out. But Gilbert, at one point, I hate him for this, but he had made fried chicken in the middle of my weight cut. We were all just hanging out. He didn't have to cut any weight. He was in the kitchen, and you just hear smell this delicious food. And he had made battered fried chicken, and he had got cane sauce and everything. It was, I even ate a little bit. It was delicious, but
you have to eat it. Yeah, you got to eat it, but it's heavy, man. It sits in your stomach too.
Oh, for sure.
And final question: who's a guy on the show who you wouldn't have a beer with?
You wouldn't?
You wouldn't.
That's a good question.
That I wouldn't have a beer with.
You could say Petrosky. It's okay.
No, me and Petrosky actually got along. He was a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
That's the thing. I got along with almost everybody, and I guess the person that I probably wouldn't is probably Vincent out of everybody.
Why? Because you guys have a battle kind of thing going, right?
Well, we fought, He was just super weird after the fight too. He wouldn't look at me, or even after we got out of the house, because we fought, and then that day we got out of the house. That night, everyone I had checked into my room, and I came down to the bar, and we were all sitting at the bar, and I wasn't even next to Vincent, but Vincent just left as soon as I got there. He didn't want to be around me, and he wouldn't talk to me at all, or even the next morning in the lobby, I was walking, and I was with Gilbert, and then I saw Andre, And I was like, hey, what's up, Andre? And then Vincent like just slowly like walked away. And I was like, well, okay. Good seeing you.
He's one of those guys, man. He just what's like the group? Do you guys have like a group chat going, like Tough 21, whatever it is, like a group chat with the guys? Like some of the guys?
I mean, we got the Volk boys in a group chat. So
Yeah.
like,
I always wondered, like, do you guys still talk to each other after and shit?
I'll comment. Like we'll comment on each other's stuff. Me and Josh talk a lot. Obviously, we're from the same town.
Yeah.
We trained together a lot before I had my surgery. So like he was one of my training partners for this camp with Ricky. We trained about 4 or 5 times. And then I'll talk to Gilbert a lot. And I guess most person I talk to is Josh, but I stay in contact with almost everybody.
So what's next now with the UFC?
So I was actually planning on I was gonna have a fight. I think it was gonna be February, but I had to get surgery. So after I heal up from this surgery, I'm gonna be probably back in the mix.
And do you know who it's gonna be against? Do you have like a list of guys? Have they asked you?
They'd give me a list of guys, but the thing is it's so far out because I'm probably not gonna be fighting for 9 months.
Yeah.
Like at least 6 months, just because how long recovery takes, and I'm not even going to be able to lightly train for 4 months. And so the UFC doesn't look that far ahead, I don't think. They're not like planning out fights a year from now because everything's always changing. And so I think right now I'm just kind of going to work on recovery, and then once I get closer to being able to fight, then we'll start figuring out something and scheduling it.
So the TUF finale was amazing. Was probably one of the best finales I've ever watched. What could you have done better, in your opinion, to beat Ricky Turcios?
So I think like a big thing was, I think probably the biggest thing, if I'm being honest with myself, I should have just been more active when I was on top in my positions. Even if it wasn't like, because I didn't look, I've learned a lot from that fight. And one of the things is this, even if you're just like, just keeping constant with the attacking, even if it's like the punches aren't necessarily, significant or super strong, if you're doing stuff on top, that looks way better in the judge's eyes. The fact that I was holding position and dominating, and he was like kind of patting me on the face and like giving me a little bit back, I think is what gave the judges their determination of that first round. So
yeah, I don't think that judges, and I've said this a lot, I don't think that judges from these commissions, I think they've been so entrenched into boxing for such a long time that a lot of them don't understand what's happening on the ground too. And that's the part that like it kind of ruins it a bit, because a guy could be doing a lot of things on the ground, especially in jiu-jitsu, and he's just getting, like you said, he's maybe just getting tapped on the face, just little hammer fists on the head, and it looks like that person's doing damage while the other person's going for submission. So I mean, it's too subjective sometimes, and I think that's the part that that kind of turns me off from judges. But anyway, 99% of the time they get it right. But for some parts, it's like they just need to know a little bit on the ground. Like judges in the state of New York, they've been so entrenched in boxing for such a long time that when we started having events there, it was just they didn't understand what was going on the ground. They just looked at the striking, and even at that, they don't know what it's like on the cage. It's just all these things. So how do you navigate through that? Like, are you thinking about judges, or are you just thinking about game plan?
I guess I just go with my game plan and I do what I do. And, he was good. I had to react to a lot of stuff. I had to keep moving and keep constantly adjusting. So it's less of thinking about other people and just more of like what's going on in the fight itself. But yeah, like you said, I think it's all perspective. I mean, obviously 1 judge thought I won and 2 didn't. So it's just depending on what judges you get that night.
I thought it was a great fight. I mean, honestly, I thought you both had your battles back and forth. Could have gone either way. I rewatched it again this morning. I don't know what it was this morning, but I just started rewatching fights. So I knew we were getting you on, so I rewatched that one. I rewatched Colby and Usman, which I'll ask you about after. I rewatched Yan and I watched Yan and Aljamain. I rewatched Cody, Sanhagen, and TJ. So I rewatched all those fights today just to kind of like stay up to date with it. And it's like I look at these fights, like even TJ and Cody, it's actually Sanhagen. Sorry, it's actually a good comparison, because I thought Sanhagen won that fight, and they decided to give it to Dillashaw. So it's all that.
Yeah.
Who are you training with now? And are you still training at Sick Jitsu, right?
Oh yeah. course.
Who's out of there? Is Kies still there and all those guys?
Yeah. So Kies is there. We have a bunch of up and coming guys. We got a girl, Melissa. She just fought in Kabate. We have a guy, Kid Ashton. He's around my age, but he's just hitting pro. He's really good. And then I got a bunch of guys my size, like Bryce, Wyatt, Sly, and Alex. And so we just have a tight knit group. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too big, but it works for us, obviously.
A lot of these gyms are coming up where it's like you have like one or two guys that are like in the top organizations. Then they have a bunch of guys that are ready to get to those top organizations. And MMA is exploded since. Alex.
So we know Volk as his personality on the camera. Sometimes he appears as cocky. He's funny and all that. But how is he off camera? And what kind of coach is he? Yeah.
So I mean, the funny thing is like on Ultimate Fighter, you're never off camera. So like whenever you're there, like never, especially like when we're there, whenever we were there, we're always on camera. Yeah. So you kind of see what you get. I mean, I don't really think I wouldn't call him cocky. I would call him confident because he's and he puts in the work, dude. But he's like super genuine guy, and so I think he's a true champion. I love the guy, and he was super helpful on the show.
Looking at him too, how did he ever balloon up to like 240 pounds? Makes no sense to me. Like
I don't know. He's a thick boy, I guess. I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts.
Joe Lopez, the coach, was saying that he was like, when he was in rugby, he would go out to eat with everybody, and then he would eat all of his food, and then he would eat everyone else's leftovers.
Can't say I haven't done that.
Fat kid, and he just loved to go out there and mow down on some food.
I love it. I can't say I haven't done that myself at some family gatherings. But honestly, to Alex, to your point though, like Volk he's before the Ortega fight, I was like, great fighter. Obviously, I'm like, but he's a little bit too. I can't really describe it. I was like, I'm not a huge I don't attach myself to this fighter. Like Ortega was a guy that I used to watch growing up in jiu-jitsu, so like I attached myself to Ortega, so I was rooting Team Ortega most of the time. But then after that Volkanovski fight, or after the fight with Volk and Ortega, I have this whole newfound respect for Volkanovski, especially in that third round. And
for sure.
Yeah, that third round was nuts.
I think the whole season, and then obviously the fight, I think it was like, he was already a champion, but I feel like this kind of like even introduced more of the world to him in a good way. Because, like you said, I think Ortega had a big following, and I think on the show they got to see Volk who he was. And I think he got a lot of fans from that. Because it was it showed how genuine he was. Because he was so helpful. He was always super into it with the guys. Like we'd be cutting weight, and he would come for no reason and like come and sit with us in our sauna tents and stuff like that. Like I didn't see anyone else doing that, from either side. And he was just there the whole time. I'd be cutting weight in a hot tub. He'd come sit in the hot tub. I was in the sauna tent. He would put a sauna tent right next to mine and sit next to.
Cool. That's he's one of the boys, man. You can tell he's one of the boys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you got to have that as a coach too sometimes, especially in a 5-week span where, he needs to be comfortable with everybody really quick, and you need to be comfortable with him because he's going to be in your corner telling you what to do, right? So you need to build that relationship, and he did it really well. I found he was one of the best coaches out of all the Ultimate Fighter seasons.
Sure.
Yeah, he was really good. I felt like he was a coach. I didn't see him as a fighter. I really saw him as a coach.
Yeah, like GSP too.
Yeah, GSP was good. The GSP season, I don't know if you saw it, Brady, but like GSP season was funny because he brought in like all these random dudes. He brought in like this one French guy that was just drunk all the time. This is like a Muay Thai fighter. And so I'm always hoping that there's some crazy shit's gonna happen in the Ultimate Fighter, but nothing happened this season. It was and it was still a good season, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that, GSP, because the first guy to ever go on the Ultimate Fighter from Spokane was Cody McKenzie.
Oh,
so he was on that season too. So that was kind of like the beginning of Spokane.
Is Cody McKenzie the one with that crazy guiillotine? The crazy rear naked choke?
Yeah, the McKenzie-tine.
McKenzie-tine, yeah. He has like wiry arms. He looks like he's like, like a construction worker.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's a fisherman. He was a fisherman in Alaska.
There you go. He doesn't look like a fighter, and he just gets your neck, and it's over. It's over.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I've grappled with him a few times, and it was like even after he had like I never trained with him back in his prime where he's training all the time. But even like now, he's like trains every once in a while. But if you give him that your neck, he's gonna take it, and there's no way out. He just latches it up like crazy.
It's crazy how some guys just have that. One question before you. Oh, sorry, let's go.
I actually have two.
Go ahead.
What's your favorite submission?
Ooh. Yeah, I think it's between either the RNC, because I love it. I think I have, in all my fights, I probably have like 8 RNC finishes. But back when I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu super fights, I used to hit the Dars a lot.
Oh, really? Oh. You got long arms?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a pretty big wingspan for my height, so it works out pretty well.
Man, I can't get a Dars or an Anaconda. I get an Anaconda sometimes, but it's just so hard because my arms are just too like my chest is too wide. So every time I try, I get one of these. Like this is how I finish it. I'll do that,
yeah.
And I'll just
I'm a skinny kid, so it's like it makes it easy.
Yeah, exactly. You throw your arm all the way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex, your last one, then we'll end it with Brady.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
Other than Gilbert's fried chicken.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, fried chicken. I love fried chicken, bro. Dude, I don't know, it's my favorite. I can't do without it. It's like literally my favorite meal for some reason.
So let's get some fight predictions, man, out of you this weekend. What do you got? Who do you got this weekend? It's we got Blachowicz versus Teixeira, then we got Sandhagen and Yan. That one should interest you.
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one. I think I got Blachowicz, just because I think he's so solid. I think Teixeira has a pretty good chance, but I think Blachowicz, they're so similar in fighting style, but I think Blachowicz is like young enough and strong enough to where he's going to win, in my opinion.
Yeah. The line is pretty much favoring Yan in that fight. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so I think it's going to be a great fight. The fight I'm most excited about is obviously going to be the trim belt between Yan and Sandhagen. I think Yan. I love Sandhagen. I love his style, and I think it works really well. But I think Peter Yan has such a tight guard, and is so he's such a good striker too. Not saying like people like Frankie Edgar and these guys that he's gone against aren't good strikers, but I think they sometimes maybe give him a little space. I don't know, but I think Jan's pressure and his defense and his output is going to kind of nullify all that weird stuff Sandhagen might throw at him.
And Sandhagen fought a really good striker in TJ, did pretty well, lost the fight. But yeah, Jan's striking is next level for sure. I'm hoping that Sandhagen wins. I don't know what it is about Yan. I've always been a Sandhagen guy. Like I've always been a fan of him. I think
I'm huge on Yan, bro.
Yeah, I know you are.
I love Yan. I think he's a beast.
Yeah, everybody does. I see it. It's you can't deny it. It's undeniable how good he is. You know what I mean? Like you see everything he does is all pretty perfect, and he's a machine. He's a robot, man. He's kind of like Khabib, but the striking version.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's kind of got that where there's something that he just knows he's going to beat you. Volkanovski has it too. Like they just know they have this thing. It's like it's undeniable. It's unmatched, and you're not going to convince them otherwise. And Volk will tell you. Yan won't, but Yan will show you, and that's how good he is. Like he's just a sick fighter, and I'm really excited because I really think Sandhagen's going to win. I don't know. I have this gut feeling. All my money's on Sandhagen. All of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. That's going to be interesting, right?
Yeah. And what about next weekend? That's the big one. Colby and Usman.
I think Usman takes it again.
I think so too.
Usman is mentally like so solid, and you see he's getting better and better. And he's a physical specimen. It's fucking ridiculous just looking at him.
One of the things I wrote down as I was watching the fight was is that I'm watching Usman, even though he won. It was 2-2 going in that 5th round before he finished him, which was a clean finish. Colby can say whatever he wants. But looking at Usman and then watching him in that fight and watching him in this fight against Masvidal, his jab has gotten 1,000,000 times better. And that's the part I think that's the scary part, is that his jab and his striking has gotten so much better, especially under Whitman. I don't know if you ever worked with Whitman. I know from being out west, but he is unbelievable. He's probably one of the best coaches out there, and I think that Usman is just gonna mollywop Colby for about 3 or 4 rounds and then just finish him there.
I agree. I think Colby's good everywhere. Obviously, he's one of the best in the world. But I think the biggest thing, like when you see him go out there and like kind of finish guys and kind of put it on guys is because his cardio is such next level, and that he goes and puts it on guys and they just can't keep up. But the thing is, Usman can keep up.
Yeah.
Like, he has insane cardio too, and I don't see that ever being an issue in their fights. So I think then it comes down to the actual skill, and then like who's the more powerful striker, and I think that's Usman all day.
Well, Colby going 3 rounds of the broken jaw is just somebody to tell you too. The guy has a motor, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to take that away from him. But it's going to be a crazy. Who else is fighting on that card? No, I'm just thinking about it. 268. Alex, do you remember? I'm drawing a blank now.
I am too.
It's one of the better cards of the year.
I think there's Amanda Nunez on it.
Yes, Amanda Nunez too.
Oh yeah, my training partner Juliana Pena's on there.
There you go. Oh yeah,
Andre Petrosky's on there too.
I couldn't remember when her fight, like what card it was on. I just knew it was around that time. But yeah. So with Juliana Pena, obviously
I can't wait for that one. Yeah, that's a good one too.
She's a beast.
Yeah,
she's a beast.
268.
No, I think Petrosky.
Oh yeah, there's Rose. Yeah, there's Rose and Wei Zhang.
Wei Zhang. There's 3 title fights.
Oh, Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler.
4 titles.
It's gonna be a good one. No. It's not for a title.
Oh, it's true. My bad. Yeah, I'm an idiot. The title, Oliveira has that belt, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But so yeah, honestly, I hope Pena wins. Since the Ultimate Fight, since she was on the Ultimate Fighter, I've been a big Pena fan. I think she's a solid fighter. She had to cancel a fight recently, right? They were supposed to fight her maybe a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, but then I think it wasn't Juliana. It was Amanda Nunez. She said she had COVID.
Oh, that's what it was. That's exactly. She said she had COVID. I mean, it's such an easy excuse now just to say. I mean, I don't want to take it away from her there, but let's say I feel like a lot of guys are like, yeah, I have COVID. There was a golfer that did it. He didn't even have it. Like, it was just everybody just using it now as an excuse to get out.
Oh, for sure. It's an easy way out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and who knows? Because there was like some speculation that Amanda wasn't in shape, wasn't ready to cut, and so she used the COVID excuse to get out of it.
Good. Well, I mean, listen, Brady, we appreciate you coming on, buddy. It was fantastic. A long time waiting, but we'd love to have you on again when you announce your next fight. Hopefully it comes earlier. Hopefully it comes after you fully recovered and you're ready to go at 100%. You're not forced into it like some guys are, but stay healthy, man. You're a young guy. You have a big career. We have a big future ahead of you, and we wish you all the best, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.
See ya.
What an interview. Brady was unbelievable.
What a beauty of a person.
Brady's great, man. Good guy. Wish him all the best in his ACL surgery, in his ACL recovery. He's a good dude, man. He's a sick fighter. Oh, I wanted to ask him about his tattoo. I forgot to ask him about his tattoo. He has Greek writing on his chest. It looked like Greek.
Really?
Writing. Yeah.
Okay.
I completely forgot to ask him about that. But now we'll just do some fight predictions before we end the show for you guys. UFC 267 is now. Who do we have next week, Alex?
I believe we still have Antonio Simmons.
Okay, we can do our UFC 268 fight predictions after that. So we'll have Antonio Simmons on next week, and we'll do.
And we also have Tresean Gore.
When is that? So maybe we should do Tresean first and do the fight predictions then. Well, anyway, whatever. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, UFC 267 this weekend, November 6th? No, October 30th. October 30th is UFC 267. We got Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira really hard earning that title shot against Jan. What do you think is going to happen there?
So, all respect to Glover. I feel like he earned that title shot. But I think Blachowicz will be a step too much for him.
Yeah.
And I think Jan's going to win.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough not to say Blachowicz. And because it's 5 rounds, Glover, yeah, he's a big finisher. I think he has like the most finishes in light heavyweight history or something like that. Blachowicz is still a young guy. Blachowicz is still very good on the ground. Like, people think that Blachowicz is more of a stand-up guy, but his first passion, his first love was jiu-jitsu, and he got into jiu-jitsu first. And he's won some tournaments and things like that, and he's been able to finish guys on the ground. Glover, don't get me wrong, the guy's sick on the ground, and his boxing has improved. We've seen it, right? And ever since he lost to John, he's been kind of like on this run. Like, I don't know what it is, if he's changed coaches or whatever the case may be.
I think his path to victory for Glover would have to be on the ground.
On the ground, I don't think he has the advantage. I think that his advantage is to stay away, is to keep distance and box. I really think that's his advantage.
You think he's going to butch with the Polish power?
Because I don't think that he's going to be able to go up against Jan Blachowicz on the ground, who's just as strong, faster, and younger. we have to take these into consideration. These are facts. These are how can I say them? These are tools. These are instances that we can take and look at them and be like, this is the reason why Jan's going to win. And I think that's the case. Listen, money tells me to put it on Glover, realistically. Like the line, I don't know what it's at now, but it was heavy on Jan before. I'm checking right now. It was heavy on Jan before. And I don't want people to think that like Glover is a pushover or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. When I look at this card and I look at this fight, I think to myself, it has to be Jan. But when I look at the money, it's like, how can I not want to go on Glover here? Let me find it. I have it right here. Let me pull up my Excel sheet. Where'd it go? I just had it here.
Terry bets.
Terry's bets. I haven't done one in a while. Maybe I'll do it for this one. Jan Blachowicz.
I just can't go with Glover.
So it's plus 233 for Glover. Like, I think I'm doing that.
I don't trust it.
And Islam Makhachev. Okay, we'll get to Makhachev after. Okay, so you're on Jan. I'm on Jan as well. Money on Glover. Realistically on Jan. I think people, gamblers know what I'm talking about. So we'll get into that. Sandhagen versus Jan. What do you think there?
Bro, you already know my choice. It's Peter Yan, the rightful champion.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Who's gonna beat Sterling after this fight. So Jan's gonna beat Sandhagen, no doubt in my mind, by KO.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's a high possibility. I think.
My money's on Jan KO.
I think my money's on Sandhagen plus 190. That's 100%, and my mind is on Sandhagen. Heads up. I really think he beat TJ. He outboxed TJ, who's one of the best boxers in the world in MMA. He outboxed TJ, not outboxed him, but he did really well. He broke his knee. He hurt him on the ground with TJ's black belt. Like, I know Jan is a machine, but there's also little moments that I see of Jan that were Aljo could have taken advantage of, hesitated. Where Sandhagen, I feel like if he doesn't take that approach, that like he kind of took it easy against TJ from what I saw. And
TJ, the thing with him is that he hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah, Octagon rust is a thing, right? But I don't think it affected TJ that much because they're still fighting all the time. They spar. Like TJ's a heavy spar. He's known to be a heavy spar. So like he's still going all these rounds. But yeah, so maybe Octagon rust could have been a thing there. But I see Sandhagen as a champion. I really do. I see him winning the fight against Jan and then beating Sterling, and then Jan fights Sandhagen for the belt.
Well, what's going to happen with TJ, though? Because TJ has to fight.
TJ fights Jan
for the belt.
No, I mean, I'm saying, so if let's say Sandhagen wins, okay? Let's say Sandhagen wins. TJ just had knee surgery, so he's not ready for almost a year. He just had ACL surgery, like maybe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right after he got injured in the fight, and right after the fight, he got surgery. So he's fresh off knee surgery. So he's out for like 8-9 months, just like our buddy Brady is. So Cody wins. I keep on calling him Cody. Corey wins. So Corey wins. Corey wins. He fights Aljo for the unification bout, and then if he beats Aljo, which I think he will, then he fights Jan again. If he beats him. I think that's what's going to happen. And then TJ will fight the winner there, or he'll fight Aljo, or he'll fight whoever else is coming up. Maybe Brady. Hopefully Brady.
Who knows?
Soon enough.
Who knows?
Okay, actually, I have a question for you. Out of all the MMA fighters we've had on the show, we've had Ayman Zahabi, Brady today. We're going to have Trayshawn Gore next week. We've had Andre Petrosky.
Mandel's my favorite.
Mandel. Who else have we had on? Louis. We have Louis Sanudakis. Who do you think is the first one to have a belt?
Who's going to get a belt?
A belt. So we'll say out of the top three. So out of top four, one PFL, UFC, or Bellator, which one of those guys is going to be a champion first?
Oh, fuck. Well, since Mandel, he doesn't get much fights all the time, I'll have to go with Brady.
Brady's a good one. But I think Mandel is more
Potentially-
likely to win at Bellator than Brady is because Brady's in the UFC right now, right? And he's still young.
Well, Mandel's not even ranked right now.
I know, but in Bellator, they can just put him in a tournament and he'll end up winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they do tournament stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That
think
could happen.
I think Mandel is the first one to wear it. And that's nothing against anybody else. You know, Trayshawn Gore. I can't wait to talk to him next week too.
Petrosky, who knows? Maybe, but he has a mountain to climb.
Yeah, me.
Yeah,
He hasn't fought me. He still hasn't accepted my fight yet. I'm coming for you, Andre. I'm coming for
obviously,
you.
Obviously, Adesanya and all that.
Yeah, it's a tough division now.
Yeah.
Apparently, Adesanya and Whitaker is going to be in February for 271 in a Canadian city or Seattle.
It's gonna be Toronto.
Fuck, I should have asked Brady about Seattle if he would rush to get into that. I think that's why he said he was going to fight in February because it was in Seattle. So, but anyway, he can't fight there anyway.
Probably.
Next fight, Dan Hooker, Islam Makhachev, your boy.
I'm going with Islam.
I'm going Hooker. The reason why I'm going Hooker.
Typical response. I knew
why.
that.
Why is it a typical response?
Because Terry doesn't want to go for the guy who has the most skill.
That's not true.
Yeah,
I used to root for GSP all the time.
Yeah, because you were his fanboy. That's why.
Not even. I just thought he was good. I go for Usman all the time. I put money on Usman all the time. John Jones, like I ride the guys who I think are good, and I think that Dan Hooker was a problem for Khabib, and that's why he never fought him. And is going to be a huge problem for Makhachev. The only reason why he's fighting right now is because nobody else wants to fight Makhachev, and Hooker's like, I'll fight this fucking guy on 1 month notice. I'll fight this fucking guy. He stayed in here. He stayed in the country to fight him. He didn't go back to New England. He stayed in the country to fight him. I'm going Hooker with this, especially at this line. Plus 466. Get the fuck out of here. That's completely disrespectful to a guy like Dan Hooker, the hangman Hooker.
Okay, so first of all, Islam is being coached by Khabib, who's currently undefeated as coach and undefeated as a fighter.
Oh, okay.
So
hey, Wayne Gretzky, how good of a coach was he?
Yeah, but Wayne Gretzky is a different story.
Why? My point I'm trying to make is just because you can do it doesn't mean you can coach.
Coaching a team and coaching a guy are two completely different things.
It's coaching. When you coach
but
if you don't have the ability to coach, then you can't coach a one person.
Okay, but if you're coaching a team that has one
I know
superstar,
this as a professional coach,
and the rest are bozos. You have one superstar, and a bunch of bozos. You think you're gonna win something?
But what do you mean? He couldn't coach the team.
Yeah, he was coaching the Arizona Coyotes.
I know what he was coaching.
One of the worst organizations.
So why didn't he get a job after then? If he was so good, why didn't he get a job after then? Because he's not a good coach. Look at all.
Didn't want to.
Look at all professional
he
coaches.
Refused.
All
He
professional
refused to
coaches
coach.
weren't successful athletes. Every single one of them. Do as I say, not as I do. Right? Like it's a thing. It's a real thing. Like for real. I coach a team of salesmen. I'm an awful salesman. I coach a team of salesmen. They're great because I can motivate them. It's all about motivation. If Khabib, listen, I'm not saying Khabib is a bad coach. I'm saying is we can't assume he's a good coach because he's undefeated. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he's 6-0 as a coach.
Yeah, sure. Because he has really good fighters under him.
Yes.
If I coached Islam Makhachev, I'd be fucking 6-0 also. If I coached Usman Nurmagomedov, I'd be fucking 6-0 also. You know what I mean? Like these guys are built different. That's for sure. He has an easy job as a coach. It's like me. It's like how can I put this in perspective? They're
bro,
not
Dagestan wrestling, bro. Dagestan wrestling.
but they're not fighting at championship level yet. So championship level doesn't reward. If you're not fighting at championship level, it doesn't reward the coach or rewards the fighter. Championship level, you can reward both. That's the way I see it. And Islam Makhachev, as good as he is, as great as he is, as dominant as he is, this is a tough fight for him. It's not an easy fight.
Well, look,
no
it's not an
stretch
easy one. It's not an easy fight, but you know Islam's gonna try to put this fight down on the ground, on the mats, and that's where he's gonna get his points. He's not gonna let Hooker kick him with his left leg or right leg, whichever one it is.
Yeah,
because I know Hooker's good on stand up.
great.
I'm not sure about his ground game, but I know Islam ground game is like elite.
Well, listen, for the fact that Islam is at minus 700 here, That's a complete insult to somebody like Dan Hooker, who's shown everybody that he's a gamer. Yeah, he got KO'd by Chandler. Okay. Shit happens. People get caught. The guy's a brawler. Makachev hasn't fought a guy like Hooker, and that's the difference. So I'm going heavy on Hooker at plus 466. I'm going to take that right now because what's happening now is that everybody's betting on Makachev, so the line is moving. Slap a nice full unit on there. Nice little full unit there. So yeah, go
next.
Ahead. So the next one we got Volkov and Tibura. Marcin Tibura.
I think look, Volkov, great fighter.
Yeah.
Great fighter. But I think Marcin is coming up in his division.
This is the
heavyweight division.
I agree with you, and this is the thing about Volkov is that with Volkov, it's he's a good fighter, puts on a great showing, but he's missing that like additional killer instinct. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Tibura has, which I'm going heavy on Tibura as well. I'm gonna go full unit on Tibura.
Obviously, and for me, Volkov, I see him the same way as I see Alexei Oleinik. I think he's going to be a journeyman where he's going to fight for a good amount of time. You know, like he's not going to be stopping fighting anytime soon. He's going to fight like every 3 months.
Yeah, I agree.
So
this fight that I'm really looking forward to. So we're both going Tibura on this one. Zhang Lang Li, I don't know if it's Li Zhang Lang or Zhang Lang Li, against Hamzat Chimaev. Hamzat, come twat, he's finally out. Everybody wants to see this guy fight. Everybody wants to
Hamzat.
Yeah, some of the best nicknames are about this guy online. I have nothing against the guy. I think he's a great fighter, but like the nicknames on his name are unbelievable. Some of them are the funniest things ever. Come twat was the funniest one. So
I think he's gonna win.
Yeah,
Hamzat's gonna win.
However, but Zhang Lang is like a fucking brawler, tough motherfucker. Like it's gonna be a sick fight.
Yeah, but look, Hamzat, his past 2 fights, bro, he just dominated his opponents.
Yeah,
like 0 chance to the opponent. He just knocked them the fuck out.
Yeah, it's true.
So, look, maybe Lee's gonna make a difference. And I know Hamzat had COVID, and he was like literally, he was spitting blood because at one point. So I'm not sure if he's going to be the same. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the same guy. But it's a thing to watch out if he's going to be, a little bit more careful or not. But I'm expecting him to be a bit more careful because I know Lee's a great brawler. So
he's a brawler, and I think he's like a judo guy. Like in the stand-up game, he's good. We got Ankalaev, Magomed Ankalaev against Volkan Ozdemir, which is another sick fight.
Ankalaev.
Yeah.
Everything on Ankalaev.
Everything on Ankalaev. Even though it's like he's a heavy favorite at minus 334. Yeah, I think heavy favorite. Nothing against Volkan. I think ever since Volkan lost to DC, he hasn't really he kind of slowed down his comeuppance, as they would call it. But he's ranked number 8, fighting Ankalaev. I think this is a clear message to the UFC. Like Volkan, if you can't win this fight, then you're done. Because Ankalaev, yeah, for real. If Ankalaev is on his way to a title shot, like he's a few fights away from a title shot, and deservedly so. The head fight of the prelims is actually a sick fight. It's Verna Yandiroba. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I saw her for the first time fight maybe 2-3 months ago, and I was like, this girl is impressive beyond belief. I know this because I lost money to her. And she's fighting Amanda Ribas, who I'm really high on as well.
Oh, yeah, Amanda Ribas I'm really high on. I think I'm going on Verna. She's going to keep impressing.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's see here. Let's do our boy, man. Andre Petroski. He's at minus 225. He's fighting Hu Yao Zhang. Never heard of this guy before. We know
Petroski by submission.
Yeah. So Petroski. You know what? I think I'm going to go Petroski by TKO. I think he pushes him against the fence, gives him a little of the, a little bit
of a ground and pound.
Yeah, a little ground and pound. And then after, maybe he can accept my call out, and then I'll be able to fight Andre Petroski, because he's a better looking human than me, and I have to fight for the honor. I have to fight for my girlfriend's honor because she's good looking. So, Andre, this is a shout out to you, my buddy. Win this fight. Good luck. I think you'll do well. I think you'll do great. But at the end of the day, you still got me waiting for you, buddy. We'll see. We'll see you after the fight. we'll see you after the fight. That was Weekly Sauce episode 71. BRady Hiestand, great guy, fresh off knee surgery. He's going to be fighting soon in the UFC. He's going to be a star in the UFC. Already is in my books. Happy to have him on, man. That was a great conversation. But as usual, this episode is brought to you by Alex. It's brought to you by Mavesta Media. Mavesta Media is the best marketing company on the planet right now. They deal with SEOs, web design,
content creation,
all that shit. Yeah,
advertisements on social media. Anything your small business may need, or your medium-sized business might need, Mavesta Media provides you all of marketing services at a reasonable price. So use promo code Weekly Sauce, and you get a free consultation and a free audit. And we've been using it for hot sauce, and it's worked wonders for us. And we thank the boys at Mavesta Media for helping us out and hooking us up. It's been fantastic, and they're very easy to work with. So if you're a small business, real estate broker, whatever the case may be, media company, golf teacher, you know what I mean, any of that stuff. Yeah, you have a website. If you have a website, contact Mavesta Media, and they'll help you out. They're the guys for you. That was episode 71. I'm Terry Tam. That was Alex the intern. Peace.